Did you know you could put delay on only the odd harmonics of a sample? Or combine the sonic characteristics of two sounds? In this video, we're gonna go over 10 sound design techniques for samples that you should know. The first sound design technique you should know is the stutter and glitch effect. There are a lot of ways to accomplish stutter and glitch effects, but one of my favorites is utilizing hardware. And I'm using the new MPC One Plus, which has Splice integration built in. It has a really fun XY pad that's easy to set up. A workflow I've been into recently is loading samples into the MPC, then glitching them out and resampling them. Glitch effects are also really useful when transitioning to a new part of the song. Here are some practical ways you can utilize this effect regardless of the DAW you're using. Most DAWs will have a native plugin for stutter effects, so double check your manual to see what you're already working with. There are also some amazing third-party plugins that can accelerate your stutter and glitch sound design. Some of my favorites are Portal, because you can get some really unique granular sounds out of it. As well as Stutter Edit. This is a powerhouse stutter and glitch plugin. You can even play your effects in with a MIDI keyboard. This thing is an absolute beast. Here I've taken a sample from this More Kismet pack, and then essentially automated beat repeats and a little tape stop effect on and off to add more interest. The next sound design technique you should know is frequency shifting automation. There are frequency shifting plugins in most DAWs, and if not, Kilohertz Essentials has an excellent option. That's linked in our free resource video. You can really add energy to your ideas by creatively automating pitch bends up and down at appropriate times. Here I've added a very simple automation sweep down on this percussion layer. This is with the frequency shifting bypass. As you can hear, the automation adds a whole new character to the sound. Next, you should definitely take advantage of the vocoder. It might be pretty obvious to use vocoders on vocal samples, but you can actually be really creative if you use them on guitars or percussion loops. I'm using Splice Bridge to audition percussion loops with this synth chord progression. For this vocoder technique, it helps to find a complex percussion loop, and the carrier sample, which is the synth chords, should be harmonically rich. Now this step, the workflow will be different for every DAW, but it's roughly the same idea, and that is to put a vocoder on the percussion track, and then select the signal from our chord track to be the carrier. Using this technique is an excellent way to add rhythm and movement to chords that might otherwise feel static. One of the absolute classics, which is so effective for transitions, is the reverse reverb technique. Take a one shot and simply add your favorite reverb, then bounce down the sound and reverse it. I love using this as a sweep right before a new section drops. Next is what I refer to as extreme time stretching. We've all probably time stretched a sample to fit into the BPM of our project, but what about time stretching it so much that it's unrecognizable from the original sample? One of my favorite workflows right now is to take a sample and put it into Koala Sampler. This is an absolute powerhouse app available for mobile devices. However, you can do this in any DAW, and essentially you're just gonna take a small segment of the sample and stretch it out something to like 8 bars or 16 bars. This can create some really amazing pads that have subtle movement over time, and I find they sound really organic and cohesive. Another cool trick is taking a short ARP run. The more delay and reverb, the better. Then time stretch it to over a minute, and then you have a structure you can build ideas around. Make sure to A/B different time stretching algorithms. I've been using Cubase a lot recently, and its algorithms really stretch the gamut. I'm telling you, this one's great for creative block, and it's also excellent for creating pads. I was instantly inspired to throw in some retro synths using BA1. I'm really excited that these are now on Splice Rent to Own. Now this one may be the simplest on the list, but it goes a long way if done correctly, and to be fair, can be messed up pretty quickly, and that is layering. When layering one-shots, try to be as meticulous as possible with the fades. Once you're happy with all the layers, you can resample it into a new sound. Then you can take that resample and transpose it and process it with any of the techniques on this list. Next is one of my favorites to morph a sound, especially for one-shots. I love it, and that is Convolution. It really helps to add this secondary character to a sound. Convolution plugins will use a sample as what's known as an impulse response. Its sonic characteristics are then applied to the input signal. Try setting the convolver to 100% wet and loading in a short percussion sample. In here, you can really transform your sounds this way. I've used a convolver to add a metallic sound to this marimba melody. If you don't have a convolver in your DAW, Kilohertz has an excellent option I'd consider. This technique is also really useful on bass stabs. Here's an example I made where I used convolution on most of the bass sound design. One of the most powerful on this list is Multiband FX. These plugins allow you to process the audio differently based off the frequency band. Instead of processing all the audio with Stutter Edit, I can apply it to, say, the mid or even high bands. And then automating the level and where the frequency band split is a very nice musical touch. This next one's a little more niche as there's only specific tools that can accomplish this, but that is harmonic processing on your samples. Bitwig Studio has a harmonic split device that allows you to process the odd and even harmonics separately. I've got an instance of Saturn II on the odd harmonics with some modulation. It adds these really ethereal flutters. I found it really fun to just A/B different effects on the odd and even harmonics. It's definitely an excellent way to shape the color of the sound. And the last technique I think you should know is Granular LFO Movement. This is one of my favorites that I've been using in my personal projects. A really fun workflow is to take an atmospheric sound. This vocal sample really works well. Then drop it into your favorite granular plugin. Mine right now is definitely Phase Plant. There are a bunch of parameters you can play with, like the grain size or the timing of the grain envelopes, but I think the real magic happens when you start automating where the playback happens within the sample. It's really fun to drop random samples into the granular engine. For me personally, it always sparks a moment of inspiration. Hopefully some of these tips and techniques do the same for you. In this specific case, this vocal sample turned into a nice, unique intro. I hope you all stay inspired, and I'll catch y'all on the next one.